All right, this is Network Security Chapter 10, Authentication and Account Maintenance. It's got some interesting stuff in it. A lot of the stuff we already know, but we're going to talk about it. So we're going to talk a little bit more about authentication and some stuff that goes along with that. Okay. Credentials. We all have different credentials. I know in this room Eric has a different one than I have, and I'm assuming other people have different ones. But what you have, what you are, and what you know are different kinds of credentials. Normally what you have is like a smart card. What you are could be our biometrics. What you know could be our password, or it could be whatever. Okay. Here are some examples. Key fobs. Does anyone's car still take a key? Really? You actually still put a key in your car? Yeah. I have a... Yours is what?
I don't even have a key. Mine's so old.
Oh, nice. Actually, my ex-brother-in-law's car, he broke the ignition years ago, so he just has a screwdriver in it. He's just, yeah. But, we got key fobs. I have one. Now, it does have a key in it. If I do this, you can pull a key out of it. That if the key fob stops working, you can still get in the car. But kind of nice. And the bad part is you get so used to having these, they just stay in your pocket. You never have to remove it. But the bad part is, like, you get a rental car from the school. Oh, it drives me crazy. I'll walk out to the rental car, grab the handle. I'm like, oh, that's right. I got to find the darn key, because it won't open without the keys. So, all right. The key fobs, those are getting more and more popular. Okay. I was actually reading an article like the day before yesterday, something brand new they're not doing in Oklahoma yet. But y'all know what OnStar is? Okay. I have OnStar in my car. It actually, the Chevy Volt comes with 4 years for free.
Wow, that's cool.
It's like, wow, normally it's 90 days, but it's 4 years, the maximum thing. I think it's because I have an app on my phone where I can start my car, I can lock my car, I can unlock my car, I can tell it to charge, whatever. But what's cool is there's a new feature they're starting to offer. It's a rental service through OnStar. What you do is you sign up through this company, rental something or other, but it works with OnStar. So you sign up saying you have a car to rent or you want to rent a car, one or the other, and somehow you have to prove who you are through the company. I don't know if you have to, they do a credit check or whatever. But once you're approved through the system, if you want to rent your car, you basically just tell OnStar, okay, my car's for rent now. And then other people that are in the system can call OnStar and say, I want to rent a car. And as long as you're in the system, they'll say, oh, we have a car at this location near you. It's available for the next 2 days. And OnStar will remotely let you into the car. And what they ask that the owners do is leave a key in the car somewhere that OnStar knows about, but you can still lock it. Like I have 2 keys, so I can leave a key in the car and lock the car. Then OnStar can unlock the car, let the person in once they've verified who they are. They can use it for however long the rental term is, then return it.
Your personal car?
Your personal car. You can rent your personal car. Like, okay, I'm going to Spain for 2 weeks.
Right.
So I could say, Ken Dewey's car is now for rent for the next 2 weeks. But they're saying they're doing it in a lot of big cities like San Francisco because people don't drive a lot, but those who have a car, maybe all day long is free, and someone just needs a car to go to the grocery store. So people are renting it for a very short period of time, renting it for 2 hours or something. Kind of a cool idea.
That's neat.
Yeah, I just read it in the news like 2 days ago. So
Yeah,
yeah, pick up some drugs. Yeah.
What kind of insurance you have to have?
I don't know how that's going to work, but it was just new. Somehow they prove who you are when you get an account, but where I live it wouldn't work. I mean, you like drive 20 miles to get the car, and then you're already there. So, but something new I just saw. All right, facial characteristics. What he is could be something like it could be a biometrics or combinations. Problem with combinations, we forget them, we end up writing them down, stuff like that. Okay. All right, passwords. Okay. It says the user logs into a system, asked to identify himself. Normally we supply a username and a password. Okay. They're the most common type. Pretty much we use them for everything. Use them for websites, use them for everything. But it says they provide only weak protection. Why are they weak protection? Because they can be broken. If they are good passwords, well, then they're going to be written down. Or people forget them. People type them in wrong. Yeah. I know you have. But overseas, you notice the keyboards are different?
Yeah, they are.
Try to find some of the special characters on their keyboards, like crap, where's the @ sign? And the @ sign is in Mexico is the one that's like, where does the darn thing at? But it's different. So normally you'll have a sticker on the keyboard. @ sign is Shift Control 2 or something like that. It's weird. All right. So humans can only memorize a limited number of items. They're actually saying that we are losing our ability to memorize. Does anyone know why? You don't remember why? It's because we don't use our memories anymore. We don't use our memories. We have everything. You know, I have everything in my phone. I mean, I'll go home at night and I want to water my flowers for an hour or two. So I turn the water on and I set an alarm on my phone to turn it off in 2 hours. Because how many times have I forgotten and come out the next day? Oh, and them flowers are really watered now. But yeah, and there was an article I read recently. There was a TED Talk about memorization. This guy was doing a research, writing a paper on these people who can memorize bizarre stuff. And, okay, I'll tell you the story. It's kind of interesting. He goes, all right. He starts off the talk by saying, okay, you're going to your house. He says, picture this story in your head, okay? You go into your house and you look out on the street. And you live on a hill. And on the hill is these bicyclists. There's like this huge pile of bicyclists driving down the street like, the Tour de France or something. The problem is they're all naked. Okay? So you look and you got this whole thing of naked bicyclists running down the street. Okay, well, you think that's weird, but okay, no big deal. So then you open your front door and the Cookie Monster is standing right there in your hallway. I mean, he's right there, he's eating cookies, getting crumbs all over the place. So you're like, wow, that is the weirdest thing. So then you keep walking through your house, you can go in the kitchen, but he goes on and on with all this different stuff going on in this stuff. And what do y'all remember about the bicyclists? Anything?
They're naked.
They're naked. The point is you add something to it to keep your memory going. But he wrote this article about how to memorize stuff. And see, I am the worst with names, okay? He gave an example. He says, okay, you got a guy named John Baker and something else. And how do you remember this? He says, what you need to do is you need to say, oh, John Baker. Oh, he's got a big white hat on. He's baking the muffins. I'm going to come out in the morning, I'm going to smell them. And from that point on, you're going to remember him because whenever you see him, you're going to picture a baker, then you can remember his name. So it's really interesting. Well, this guy was doing the research on it, interviewing all these big memory dudes. And he was going to the competition. And the next year, he entered and won. He had no prior knowledge at all, and he won just by the techniques he learned. I mean, I think he said he memorized 4 entire decks of cards that were randomly shuffled within 1 hour. I mean, memorize the order. So how could you do that? I mean, it was a real short talk, but he was just sharing, some of the techniques. The point was, try to relate something. Way back when I was in the military, Bergstrom Air Force Base in 1980, I had a little P.O. box basically on base. And the combinations were letters. It was like A, B, C, D, E, F around the circle. And the way I remembered it is I made a sentence. I don't remember what it is today because I haven't used it in 25 years. But it was like, all children become whatever, dumb or something. I don't know what it was. But the point is you try to make it memorable or something like that. So it was really interesting. But it's a TED Talk on memory, and it's really kind of interesting. But yeah, he ended up winning. And he had no prior education. So the point was, you don't have to be real smart to do it. You just have to know the techniques. So I'm going to try to do that this next semester with my students. But I still suck. I still call her Karen. Yeah. But Karen was sitting at that desk the first 3 days is the problem. All right. So we can only memorize a certain number of things. And by using our smart devices and everything else, we're losing that capability. We need to start doing it more. And I'm a prime candidate for that. Sometimes I'll remember, now what is my number? And that kind of stuff. So, all right. It says users must remember passwords for many different accounts. You remember when you all had like 1 or 2 passwords to remember? Now we have, 30, 50 accounts? I mean, there's always something new, which we're going to see a couple of new ones today you might want to get. So, all kinds of stuff. It says security policies mandate passwords must expire. There must be certain credentials, stuff like that. Weak passwords, common words, short passwords, personal information. Kind of a bad thing to use, okay? Reusing the same password for multiple accounts. I used to do that. I will be the first one to tell you. I was guilty as charged. I use the same password for everything. I don't do that anymore. Anyone know why?
Because you got that last pass.
No, before that. Before I got LastPass, why did I stop doing it?
Somebody broke in.
No, no one broke in. It's because the darn sites all require something different now.
Oh, yeah.
This site requires, like one of my financial institutions, I think it's Chase, is lowercase and numbers only.
That's right.
It's like, what the heck? Then you get another one like the NSA. It's got to be 12 to 14 characters, so it's a very short span. 2 uppercase, 2 lowercase, 2 numbers, 2 special characters. So obviously I can't reuse the same password. Then you get other ones that are uppercase and lowercase only. So I can't reuse the same one anymore because everybody has different credentials. It would be nice if they all had a kind of set rule, but they don't. Okay, social engineering, phishing, shoulder surfing, dumpster diving. People write stuff down. I checked into my hotel room Sunday night. I'm assuming we all did. Y'all have a little notepad on your desk? Did anyone look at the notepad? I mean, there was no writing on it, but you hold it up to the light, and you can see all the prior notes. I don't know what they were. I didn't really care. But I used the notepad this week while I was there. So I ripped off the top 4 sheets of paper and threw them away. I didn't write passwords on it, but what did you say?
I took mine with
Well, there was only a couple little sheets. I took a couple pages. Yeah.
I write something on a table with me.
Yeah. But no, the ones I wrote I took with me, but then I took off a couple other sheets as well. But there's a lot of stuff out there. I've done a project in forensics in the past, kind of like a crime scene, where I had a sticky note where we wrote the password on it, and then I removed the top sticky note, and you can still see it. And a lot of people don't even think about stuff like that. All right, keyloggers. Very easy. They can be software-based, hardware-based. Protocol analyzers. We looked at it in this class. For using something like Kane, we can capture usernames and passwords. Man in the middle, same thing we just talked about. Okay, it says resetting. Attackers gain physical access to the computer and reset your password. You don't have to nowadays. You don't have to break a password. You just reset the darn thing. If I want to get into your account, do I really need your password? No, I'll reset it. So what? You'll figure out I reset it, but still. I mean, have you ever had an issue where you couldn't remember your password? Like I did on one of the sites. It was LinkedIn, I think. This week. I don't go to LinkedIn very often, so I can never remember the password. Well, everything I tried wouldn't work, so I ended up resetting it. But if you think about it, maybe someone broke in and reset it. So maybe I did remember my password, but someone had changed it. So it's something we don't think about that wow, maybe I am remembering it. Maybe there was a security problem. Maybe I should have contacted them and say, whoa, I know what my password should have been. But did I do that? No. I really don't have much personal stuff up there anyway. Okay. Or it says online guessing. Not really practical, but actually I would say it is. Now that we're seeing the Yahoo and all those password breaches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the common passwords people use, it's just crazy. All right. Offline cracking, you download the password file, which is quite easy. There's a lot of tools you can do that with. You can do it with Kane, you can do it with FTK, you can do it with a bunch of them. Download the password file and break it. So what if it takes a week? You think these hackers don't have time on their hands? And a lot of times they'll use distributed computing, so they'll use somebody else's computer to break it with anyway. They steal the file with encrypted passwords, then they break it. Ways to break them, we could do brute force. We're going to try everything. We're going to try every combination of numbers and letters. We're going to try A, then A1, then A2, then B, go on until we get it's slowest, but it will try every combination. Okay? All right, brute force programs, it says you can specify the link, the characters, the language, the pattern, what to skip. So kind of, you can there's programs that do this, like OpCrack is one. Pretty basic program, okay? Dictionary attacks is an attacker creates password or encrypted version of password words. In my forensics class, we did that. We create words and we modify them a little bit. Okay, compares against the list of stolen passwords. Here we go. Here's some words. So those words, when encrypted, are stored. Now, do they store the actual password on our systems? In the past, they did. Now they don't. What they store is they store the encrypted results, the hash of it. What happens is I log in, when I reset my password, it encrypts it and stores it encrypted. The next time I log in, it encrypts it and compares the encrypted version to the other. It doesn't de-encrypt it. Now, there are some legacy applications that, like that VPASP program I showed you in here. I think it was in this class. And yeah, their program way back when did not support, so basically I had to tell it to store them in in reversible encryption. That way it could undo it. But not many do that anymore. Hybrid attack, it says adding numbers to the end of passwords. It's like password 1. We took the word password, added a 1 on it. Spell words backwards, misspelling them, all kinds of different stuff. Rainbow tables. What a rainbow table is, imagine I sit here and I had a computer system doing nothing. So I was going to use it to create passwords. I come up with, maybe, let's go with 8 character. I'm assuming some people have 8 character passwords. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out every possible combination of 8 characters, including letters and numbers, and I'm going to sit there and create all those and store them all. I store them in a rainbow table. Then later on, all I have to do is comparison. Compare your password against the rainbow table. The odds are it's going to be there. It might take forever. When I took the NCASE training in Texas, the guy who taught the class, he created a rainbow table that was 900 gig in size. It was like 942 gigs, almost a terabyte. And it included every combination from like 6 characters to 14 characters of letters, numbers, and special characters. So what you can do is you can take that rainbow table, and if I could get a copy of your hash file, compare it, and I get it. So kind of cool, all right?
And very fast.
Very, very fast, okay? All right. Yeah, okay, let's continue. All right, steps for cracking. It says create a table, chain of passwords, encrypt the initial password, then feed it into the system. Basically, that's what we're talking about. We create the rainbow tables, then we use them to crack later on. And it says run encrypted password through same procedure, then just compare it. The deal is we don't have to try that. It's just like, if you were to have to do a mathematical calculation every time you did use the phone number, it would take a while. But if all you had to do was look it up in the list, it'll be a lot quicker. That's what a rainbow table is. Okay, so you start with the initial password, go on and on. Advantages, can be used repeatedly, faster, less machine memory. All they're doing is comparisons. Yeah, I have a 900 gigabyte file I got to compare it to, but I can compare file words pretty quickly. I can do millions per second. Okay, creating strong passwords. There's ways to do it. Okay, and we already talked about those. Use a bunch of different stuff in there. Okay, most passwords consist of some sort of root word. Maybe my root word is dog, or let's say house. It's a little bit longer. Okay, so my root word is house. Okay, then I can add something to it. Maybe I'll have FB house for Facebook house, or FNB for First National Bank. So I'm always putting a prefix on it. Then maybe I put a suffix on it, something, the year of my birth or something like that, 62. So it could be FB house 62. So it's something I can remember, but for the normal person, it would be hard to figure out what that is. But that's one way of doing it, okay? All right. All right. They says combine common passwords with common suffixes, use 5,000 common dictionary words. There's lots of different ways you can do it. Or make substitutions. Replace an at with an at sign for an A, or maybe replace a 3 with an E, that kind of stuff, okay? A lot of people do that, okay? All right, like the word password, it could be P at $$ word, or P at $$ W0 RD. So what I did is I just did simple substitution, okay? All right, it says do not use dictionary words, okay? Do not use birthdays. Do not use family member information or pets' names, because people can get that information. You can go on Facebook and get it all. Do not use short passwords. Okay. Do not repeat characters or use sequences. Okay. And whenever changes their password, the first couple times you go to use it, you keep typing it wrong. I do that. But then how can we can get faster and faster? We actually get muscle memory in our fingers and we remember exactly which way you're typing it. I noticed that after I've been using a password for a while, I can type it really, really quickly. Okay. All right, manager says, one important defense, prevent attackers from obtaining an encrypted password file. But that's what happened in Yahoo and all the other ones. They let out the password file. All right, don't leave computer unattended. Keep people from getting it. Screensavers help, okay? Basically, just don't give them access to your machine. Physical security is the big deal. Okay, change them frequently. Do not reuse old passwords, which is kind of good. Never write them down. You can use unique passwords. Set up temporary passwords that you're only going to use one time. Discover Card has a feature that if you're using online banking, you can have it where every time you use it, it's a different account number. It's a one-time number. It's kind of cool. Discover Card Sports. I know other ones probably do as well. You go onto your account online, and you tell it, I want a one-time account number with Discover. And it generates it. You use it for one purchase, and it still bills back. That way, if someone breaks it, guess what? That account number is only good for one-time use. So that's something. But the problem is it's hard to remember that. I mean, you know, are you going to really want to do that every time? We don't. But it is kind of a cool feature.
Yeah, and you have to watch what you buy with it, because if it's something that's going to look you up by your account number.
Yeah, it's not going to work. Yeah, if you're ever going to use the same one, it's not going to work. Yeah. Yeah, I've actually had that issue. And, you know what I got to, y'all have phones, I'm assuming. A lot of places require you to enter a phone number. What do you enter? You enter your cell phone, your home phone, your work phone. But don't cell phone numbers change? I have a Google Voice number. It's voice.google.com. If you don't have one, you should get one. They're free. Okay? And mine's similar to my other number, but I use that for everything. Because with Google Voice, I can tell it to call my cell phone, to call my home phone, call my work phone, call it. So anyone calls the Google Voice number, they're getting me still. But that number will never change. I can receive text at it. And what's cool about the Google Voice number is if you call it to leave me a message, if I don't answer, yeah, it converts it to text. So you get a text message or an email with a transcript of the voicemail. So it's not perfect, but you can usually figure out what it is and who it is. So it's kind of cool. I like it, especially when I'm on trips, when my phone's off. What will happen is I'll get a voicemail, then I'll get an email. So if I'm checking my email in Mexico, I can get an email knowing that I got a voice call. So it's kind of cool, and if it's important, I can call them back. So Google Voice, totally free, and it works really good. Okay. Do never enter a password on an unencrypted wireless network. Okay. Do not allow computers to automatically sign you in. Don't store passwords on public computers, that kind of stuff. Okay. My bank, actually, when you go there, you know, like with my laptop, I'll tell it to, you know, this is a personal computer, to register it. So next time, I still have to enter a username and password, but I don't have to do the special advanced security type stuff. But my laptop, for some reason, it will never remember me. Every single time I go there, I have to answer the special challenge questions. It's like, why doesn't it remember me? It's just driving me crazy. But it's all right. Not a big deal.
Is it just that site, or is it?
Just that site. Other sites remember me. It's weird. Okay. Other guidelines, use non-keyboard characters. We actually talked about this the other day. So if I was to bring up a notepad here, which I actually have up already, let me change the font. Format, font. I'm going to make it bigger so y'all can see it. Let's just go bigger. All right. Say I'm going to enter my password. It's going to be P. Then instead of A, I'm going to use Alt 254. What is that thing? Or 0255. What I'm doing is I'm using special characters. I'm using the ASCII character chart. Now that's the notepad representation of what I'm entering. But are you ever going to find that Y with double dots on the keyboard anywhere? Nope.
Germany.
What now?
Germany.
Yes. Yeah, but not here. So I could basically write that password down and you never get it. So you can use alt character combinations with your passwords. The way I did that is I held down the alt key and type in like 0255 and I get that. Or 034 and I get double quotes. So if you were to enter double quotes as my password, that would fail. Because it's not double quotes. It's alt 034. So it's kind of cool. All right. So you can use alternate keys. All right. Password supplements. It says managing numerous strong passwords is tough. Rely on technology to store them, which we talked about already in here. Okay. Oh, and there's the ASCII or the Windows character chart. You can put some of them characters in there, and it's the only problem with using passwords like that. Like on my iPhone, I have no idea how I would enter alternate 0255 on my iPhone. I don't know if I could. I might be able to. So it might not be a good idea to use something they can't enter. So might be tough.
Yeah, you would have to add, I think, additional keyboards.
Right. Oh, and actually, we're going to get to something else here in a second. Yeah, you probably do. Which I have an international keyboard on there, and I have a Smiley's keyboard on there. So.
Yeah, you could add one.
All right. Internet Explorer and all them have password. You know, they allow the ability to save the password. Not necessarily a good idea unless it's a private computer. Okay. Autocomplete. I had a client of mine who got a new machine. And I copied all her old data onto her new machine. But she had no contacts. I'm like, that's weird. So when I copied her email, there was no contacts. So I get her a new machine, and she's like, oh my God, Ken, what'd you do with my contacts? I'm like, you didn't have any. Oh, yeah, I did. She goes, yeah, all my contacts are missing. But the way I did it was when I got their new machines, I never moved the data. I copy it onto the new machine. That way the old machine's still intact, so I can get to it if I need to. Then after a few months, I just wipe them out. But she goes, no, I had contacts. I had hundreds of them, and you didn't copy them. So I go over there, and I bring up her old machine. Okay, show me where your contacts are. Well, what she had, she didn't have contacts. You know how IE, as you enter an email address once, it remembers it? So it wasn't stored as a contact, it was an autocomplete. And you can't copy that stuff. I said, there's no way to do that. So I showed her, I said, here's your old machine. Go through your start entering them and store them as contacts, and I was able to get them. But autocomplete's nice, but it can be an issue. Okay? It's encrypted and stored in the registry, but it was nothing I could just copy over. All right, disadvantages. It says password information specific on one machine. Could be. Could be vulnerable if someone gets access to the other system. Okay. Password vault is what a lot of places use. I did show the Momengo in here, didn't I? With the bicycle lock. Remember the bicycle lock? Didn't I show that in this class? Okay. Yeah. Those are nice systems to use. LastPass is probably the #1 rated right now. Okay. All right, management applications that have drag and drop capability, have encrypted features, kind of cool. All right. All right, how about tokens? All right, I'm going to log into my Google site here real quick. How am I going to do this? I want to keep that one up. I'm going to do it with, Firefox. No guarantee this is going to work. I'm already logged in, so it might be an issue. Next, done. Hold on. I'm going to go to mail.google.com. And no guarantees this is going to work. Because I don't want to log off to the other site. Can't type today. Good. It did not let me in. Alright, I just entered my Google username and password. Everybody see that? Am I in my system? No. So even if you had my Google username and password, you couldn't get in. It's asking for a third piece of information. And on my cell phone, I have a Google Authenticator app. That's it. Now I showed somebody to do this already. Google Authenticator. Okay. It's a free app you can install. Okay. And basically what it does is it generates tokens. Or codes that change every about every 30 seconds. So, like right now on my screen, there's a code. And it's 488733. Okay? Now, if I hit enter right now, I can get in. Because that's the current code. But it's getting close. It's got about 10 more seconds. All right? It's getting ready to change. So say I'm typing really slow. All right? So the code just now changed. If I hit enter. Oh, well, I guess it did it too quickly. Darn it, it was close.
So what happens if that link don't have your phone? What's the backup option?
All right. It can send it to your phone. It can send it to an alternate email address. Okay. But what's cool about this feature is it works when the phone's offline. So if I'm in Mexico with my phone on airplane mode, it'll synchronize, which is nice. So I can have my phone with me and I can use this. But I also installed it for my LastPass account. So you can install it for other services as well. Like with my LastPass account, it came up there and it says you want to enable Google two-factor authentication. Like, yeah, that sounds cool. So I enabled it, and what they did is on the LastPass account, it showed a QR code. Then I just scanned the QR code in my phone and it installed it. Now I have it on here as well. But it changes every 60 seconds. So, and it's free. All you do is you go into the Google account settings, edit, enable. Actually, let me show you. Let's find it. All right, and you can tell it to remember it for a few days. Let me. Oh wow, there's no way that's the code. All threes. I mean, it is right now, but that's weird. I've never seen it with all one number. All right, under my account, I can go to account, security. Right here, two-step verification. It's under account security. Mine's on. I can edit it. Now, are they going to show the other one? So I can tell it, okay, I have it on my mobile and have it with a backup number. But what you can also do with it, which it's not going to, there's application-specific passwords as well. Because what this, when I want to check email on my iPhone, I don't want to have to enter, every time I check the email, I don't want to have to enter a code. So what I can do is I can generate application specific. So watch this. I could say, I'm going to generate a test account. Okay? I can say generate password. What it does is it generates a password that I have to enter within a short period of time, but then it will never, that one will always work. So that is a password I could enter into my iPhone for my email and will work forever. And it's pretty long. It's 16 characters. So you can do that for, like I have it in there for my iPhone email, my Google Voice, my iPad email, and then obviously the test account. And I can revoke them at any time. So that's two-factor authentication through Google, and it's free. Highly recommend you set it up, because that way if you forget your password, you're in. Okay? Everybody kind of see where I'm at? But token, same thing. It's a small device that displays it. RSA has an actual hard token you can carry around. But, yeah, there you go. He's got one over. Does it have a number on it and everything?
Yeah.
Okay. And it changes about every 60 seconds probably? Yep. So, all right. Yep, it says code changes every 30 to 60 seconds. And you have to enter the code showing within that time period. Or pretty darn close to it. All right. All right. It says user steps. They go to username. They enter the token off the card. And if it matches, they're in. Okay. Advantages, it changes frequently, every minute. So if you happen to see what my token's on there, like I could probably walk up and see your code right now. But it's only good for a minute. So even if I write it down, guess what? It's no value to me. It's not going to work again. Okay. Here it is. They're entering a special code. But yeah, but if you don't have that on your Google account, since so many people use it now, you probably need to turn it on. But the only drawback is, like at home, if I want to check my email in my house, and I don't have it remembered for 30 days, I have to go get my phone because I have to get the token. But come on, with the exception of Salon, we all have our phone at all times, anytime. Anyway, she'd be like, darn it, I can't even check my email right now. All right, advantages over passwords. Even if you get my username and password, you're kind of out of luck. It's not going to help. Okay, but more and more places are starting to do that. Okay, cards, smart cards. Okay, have a chip what has information in it. Like at Tinker, they call the Common Access card, the CAC card. Okay, but the bad thing is, with the CAC card, they walk up to a machine to log in. They put in their CAC card and a 4-digit PIN. I think it's 4-digit. Maybe it's 6-digit. But it's some short PIN. So they don't actually have to remember the username and password anymore. All they do is something you have, which is the card, and a short PIN, which is good. Now, I'm retired military, so they won't give me one yet. They said soon I will get one, but I've been hearing that for 5 years now. Sooner or later I'll get one. They show you a picture of it here. Here we go. We got our smart card, little pad on it. I stick it in my smart card reader, like Eric's got back there. See? So he's even got portable readers. You just plug in USB on the side of his monitor.
That's your multi-factor.
Yep. Yep. So kind of a cool feature, and more places are doing that.
Did you see that study by the guys from Black Cat? San Francisco was using a smart card, and you bought a $100 card to put in the car key.
Right.
And they soaked it in acetone and pulled the card apart, and then were able to get to the silicone. They actually hacked the firmware on it to where when they charged it and they pulled it out, it reset it back to $100.
Oh wow! Wow. So they actually hacked the smart card. Neat. Well.
Smart card, and then they wrote it up, gave their paper, and then gave all their information.
And hopefully the company fixed it. We hope they do. I mean, I like people to do that to figure out how to do it. DEFCON 405, which stands for DC 405, which is similar, but we have one in Oklahoma City. They meet. Actually, it met last night. Met last night in Oklahoma City. Meets like the third Friday of each month. Well, two of the guys that run it, Blue Ant Security is their company name. They were hired by some company to do a penetration test on a firewall. The company gave them a firewall, brand new. So here you go, hack into it. Do whatever you want. If you can get into it, we'll give you like $40,000 and the firewall. I don't know if they ever got into it, but a lot of places do that. They hire people to try to find vulnerabilities in it, which is actually pretty cool. So, as long as the people that break it tell them what they did and say, all right, I found a vulnerability. All right.
Yeah, we have, within NSA, we have a team that different people will go to, and they'll go to a site
Right.
and do penetration testing
Nice.
at a site, and they're like made up of people all over the complex. So
They try to break in and find flaws with it.
different ways.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it's really good. It
Yeah.
gives you probably the best insight into your system.
Well, we have issues at our school, but they've known about them, but they haven't fixed them
Well, they
yet. So.
choose not to do it. So.
Yeah, if they choose not to, yes. All right. All right, biometrics. Using your characteristics. Could be your fingerprint. That's what most places have. Could be face. I had a fingerprint reader from APC, the company that makes battery backups. I had an APC biometric fingerprint reader on my computer, which was pretty cool. My son, I mean, it basically had a little glass that you put your finger on, and then you could authenticate with it. It was kind of cool. I liked it. My son, who was young at the time, young teenager, said, I bet I can get in there. Like, you think so? He says, yep. He took a piece of paper, put it over top of it, and pushed down on it, and let him right in. Because what it was a piece of glass. So the grease from my finger left an imprint of my fingerprint on the glass. So when he put a piece of paper over it, took a picture, and let him right in. Like, you suck. So I stopped using it immediately. Now, Microsoft has one. I still have it, by the way. I don't use it much, but I still have it. That worked better because it was like a gel.
Right.
It wasn't a glass, so it couldn't keep my fingerprint. And it was awesome. I loved it. I loved it.
For U.S. visit in the airports,
Yeah.
you know, if you come through international concourse, we started doing that. You can buy these little gel pads to go over the glass.
Right.
And it actually helps it work better, and it keeps the fingerprint.
Solves the problem.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. All right.
The problem is you got to change them about every. We had to change them about every 60 days.
Yeah, because they probably get kind of slimy, and
Stuff.
it's like that stuff we were talking about yesterday, the goo we were going to put on the walls,
Right, yeah.
keep you from climbing it. It's good. Your job's scraping that off. Ugh.
Yeah,
All right.
When we had to change the pads, I tell my guys, you need to glove up. Use a
Yeah.
pair of tweezers,
Put some gloves.
Thousands of people from all over the world that touch that. That's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
just wonder what you could have been spreading.
I don't know.
It's
Who knows?
disgusting.
I always think people in computers should take microbiology.
Yeah, we all need microbiology because you're right. I mean, people, this keyboard up here, I'm teaching right now. I'm assuming a lot of different people use it, or even those desks you're sitting at. Now, we have students, our work studies, that come and kind of clean the classroom each day, but are they cleaning the keyboard? No. We don't think about that stuff.
Until one person sits down.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then
it's a psychological clean.
It's kind of funny. People say, oh, I must always wash my hands before I eat, but you always, how many times do you bring something, sit at your computer desk and eating some chips or whatever, and you might as well not even wash your hands. Forget it. No more washing
It
hands.
makes you stronger.
It does. Actually, it does. You need some viruses to make you stronger.
Makes me feel any better. I wiped it down every time I use it.
Nice. Good. Okay. All right. So face, hand, eye, those are all different ones. We actually still have it at Rose State, a retina scanner. Okay? Just the $400 one, the cheap ones. By the way, if you only spend $400, it ain't going to work. Not going to work well. Well, I would go in there and I would register my eye with it, but I could never authenticate. I could register it. See, I had eye surgery, so it's weird. I only use one of my eyes. So if I try to register that eye, it registers it, but then I can't, it basically says, okay, look at this green dot, whatever, and I could never, not even once get in. I'm like, well, this thing sucks. All right. They have static and dynamic fingerprint. Anyone see the Mythbusters episode about fingerprint readers?
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they they had to get in. They had to break in. And this company says, oh, yes, we have this fingerprint lock. It's dynamic. It checks for electrical charge between your fingers, and it's based on temperature, blah, blah, blah. You can never break it. Well, what they did was they had to get Jamie's fingerprint. So they found where Jamie picked up a CD. So they took the CD, took the fingerprint off it, printed it on, in a computer, made it huge, cleaned it all up nice and pretty, shrunk it back down, printed it on a piece of paper, and got in. And they showed the company, so it's dynamic, it checks for frequency between, and they said, no, it just works with a piece of paper. So it was pretty funny.
They had a pretty good one where they did motion sensors. They were trying to motion
I saw they broke the motion sensors, and they showed that if you just have a white sheet,
right.
you can walk right in. Walk in with a white sheet in front of you, get right in.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, the point is, whatever we come up with, someone's going to figure a way around it. We have some cameras in my building at Rose State. There's one that actually points at the hallway by my office. It doesn't point at your office, by the way, Shalon. So you're good. But there's one that literally points at my door. Well, we were watching the cameras and they're like, what's the refresh rate? And where does because they're motion activated. So they record, but they don't update the stored image unless there's motion. So it was funny. Caleb and William, two people that worked in my office, they basically were trying to figure out how quick you have to move or how slow. Basically what they would do is Caleb would walk down the hallway, put a chair, and sit on the chair in front of the camera, and then waved his arms. And all of a sudden, boom, he's in the camera. It's like, whoa. And then he would stop moving. Then he'd move back and then do somewhere else. And it was because it's looking for motion. And if you go slow enough, it's not going to catch it. So it's kind of cool. All right. Here's a fingerprint reader on laptops. Those actually work decent. Not great. They work decent. Okay. Disadvantages. Cost of hardware. They are expensive sometimes. Rejecting unauthorized users and accepting unauthorized users. What's the error rate? What's the reject rate? Kind of important. You really don't want to authorize unauthorized people or accept unauthorized people. Okay? Behavioral. How do you type? Keyboard dynamics. I taught an ESM class here, I don't know, a couple months ago. And we actually did the keyboard dynamics lab. You were in that class, weren't you, Al? Did we do that? Keyboard dynamics? Maybe not. Okay. I don't remember. But yeah, there's a website where you can go and type this big old paragraph.
Yeah, we did that.
And it remembers you. And if you go back, if anyone else types it, it won't recognize you. But it's keyboard dynamics. It's kind of cool. How about voice recognition? That's coming a long ways. I mean, Siri built into the iPhone. It's awesome. And I was watching a video this week about the new Android Jelly Bean, which some of these darn names they're calling things. The voice, basically the Siri-like app for the Jelly Bean was amazing. They had a side-by-side comparison. It was funny. They had both phones sitting there, and they would push the button and ask the same question, and Android won like every single time. It was pretty cool. But it was, they were trying, the girl says, what the girl was doing the news article said, okay, I kept track of everything I searched for that week. Then she was asking the applications to mimic what she was doing. And one of the things, she was searching for some weird fruit or something. Oh, a scallion. It was a scallion, an onion. So she goes, show me a picture of a scallion. And the Android shows her, and the Siri goes, so you're looking for a picture of a stallion. And she's like, no, a scallion. But I tell you what is cool about it. I use it to type. You know, like I can hit the little thing. Like when I want to send a text message, it does a phenomenal job doing that typing part there. Or reading. Like if I'm in the car, if I get a big old email from someone, I can select it and say, read it to me, and read the entire email to you. So it does a really good job of that. But voice recognition is coming a long way. Also computer footprinting. What is the hardware? There's software out there where you can, it's linked to your hardware. And as long as you don't change a certain amount of hardware, you're okay. It'll continue to work. So you can look at that. So keyboard, how do people type? We all type differently. Some people type, like Caleb used to work in my office, typed with one finger. It was pretty quick, but it was always with one finger. I have an ergonomic keyboard, the ones that are split and bent. I can type really fast on that. But some people come in and try to use my keyboard, they're totally lost. They're like, how do you type with it broken? I'm like, why does it need to be together? I mean, the left hand only does certain keys. The right hand only does certain keys. Why does it matter? But, all right. All right, and they talk about things, like the dwell time, time it takes to press the key, the time between keystrokes, different letters I can type faster than others. Okay, that's pretty much what they're talking about. So voice, they talk about the characteristics in your voice. What was that? What was the big application that did that? Dragon Dictate. That was the original one. I remember using that years ago. I kind of had a cold that day, and I went through the entire training process. I had to train perfectly. Well, when I got over my cold, guess what? Wasn't nothing. But now they pretty much work with anything. I mean, you can use any voice. A lot of banks use them, like if you're calling and you want to, please, enter or say your account number, and you just read it off, 126, blah, 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 and it does it. It's like, wow. So they're getting better. Okay. And they talk about here, it's difficult for someone to authenticate using a recorded user's voice. So voice recognitions for authentication is really pretty good. I think the movie Sneakers used voice recognition. I know they use typing as well. So if you haven't seen that movie, you need to watch it. It's called Sneakers. All right. Computer footprint could be the location, the time of day, the ISP. It could be different components on the board. Okay. All right. Then we have cognitive. That could be the thought process. They're going to ask you something, you have to solve it. What's 2 plus 6? Just something you would normally do. It makes you think, or makes you see. What do you see in this picture? It's kind of like that the captcha we all see on websites now. It's like, please enter this thing you see. But man, some of those are so hard to read. Man.
I don't have a computer. I can't read it.
Some of them, it's like, what the hell? I can't even see what they're saying. After the third or fourth time, it's like, all right, obviously you're not yourself. No, I am. I don't have a clue what you're typing there. All right.
They have some of them that'll say it to you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but did you ever listen to those? They're like, apple, dog, Harry Potter. It's like, what?
It's coming all the way from India.
Yeah, that's true. Well, they have other sounds in there, so if you're trying to do it with a computer, it's not going to work. But I think it's easier to see them than listen to the voice one. It's so screwed up. It's like, what? He's like, apple, boy. It's like... Now, if you haven't never tried one of those, yeah, you try that. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so it could be something that's based on your life experience. A kind of an example is that when you try to get your credit report, you go to annualcreditreport.com, you get your free credit report from, and you go to the different places, and they'll ask you things like, have you ever owned or what kind of car have you purchased in the past? And they'll list all these cars, and you have to pick the one that you bought. Or all kinds of, what was one of the addresses you lived at? And there's always a none of the above. A lot of times none of the above is the answer. So kind of cool. Okay. Could be you have to identify specific faces or facts. There's actually I watched a study about that. They were talking about faces, identifying faces. They were trying to say how people sometimes it's easier just to recognize a face than do something else. Y'all seen the images? When you log into your bank, you have an image now. Y'all have that at your banks? You got a username and password, then an image comes up. Yeah. And you got to put a stupid phrase with it or something. Yeah. I got tired. I had to keep changing my account because we were having an issue with the bank setting it up. And I had to keep setting it up over and over. Finally, the time that it worked, this was a while back. Actually, I don't even think I have this bank anymore. But the image was of a table. So I was getting frustrated setting it up. So my phrase was, a darn table. I mean, a normal person would never guess a darn table, but that's what I entered because I was like, I got to do it again. And I was like, fine, it's a darn table. All right. All right, so let's move on. Okay, single sign-on. A lot of places you sign in one time, and that follows you across. We're going to see a couple different places to do that. And it uses what's called a Federated Identity Management System. Yay. Okay, Windows Live. They started way back when. You could log into Windows Live, which I have a Windows Live account. I can use it for my SkyDrive. I can use it for my folder share. I could use it for my Live Mesh. I could use it for everything. It goes across the whole thing. Okay? And it says how it's stored in a cookie, but it's not, because you could literally use it on different machines as well. Okay? All right. They log in with an ID that's been tagged, and it stores a local cookie, but you can also use it on other systems as well, and it works for Windows Live, Office Live, Xbox Live, MSN, other Microsoft services. Works for a lot of them. OpenID, I actually have a website up here I wanted to show you. Do I still have it up? Here's OpenID, the first and largest independent OpenID provider. Now, if you go to the link on the website, it's not on the slide, it's not going to work. Just enter myopenid.com. Don't put me, because that's after you actually have the account. So myopenid.com without the HTTPS, and you'll be able to see it. But it's a way of trying to make it where if you enable this system, you can go to different websites and authenticate through myopenid. What will happen is it'll send, when you go into that website, say, you ever see a website where it says log me with my Facebook ID or my Gmail ID or something like that? Like I get a game of playing my iPhone, Words with Friends. I can log in with my Facebook account. Same way, you can tell it to log in with your myopenid account. Okay? So as you go to your website, whatever you're doing, you say authenticate with me with my OpenID. It will then forward you to my OpenID. You authenticate through them. Then it will pass the token back to the website. Okay? But it does rely on DNS, and it does not work with all websites now. Actually, it doesn't work with very many at the moment. Okay? Okay, it permits you to do it without forwarding user credentials. Okay? Which is kind of cool. So that's my OpenID. Okay, account management. Okay? Password rules, we talked about these already in this class. Okay? They talk about the policies and the settings. We talk about age and history and length and complexity and how to store it. All that stuff is part of the password policy settings. Okay? Lockout duration, lockout threshold. There's a lot of stuff that, I think we already did look at that in this class. So you can see that. Okay. Trusted operating system. You all agree that operating systems have flaws? Yeah, they do. It says with millions of lines of code, weaknesses are hard to find. And you can't. There's always something new. I have a website, an app on my phone. What's it called? Hold on, I don't remember the name now. I use it all the time, though. It's, there it is. It's called Shipmate. And I have it for all the different cruise lines. So I can look up cruises and see deck plans and stuff like that. Well, with Shipmate, I can enter cruises I've been on and cruises I'm going on. That way I could, read about it. I think it costs like 99 cents or something like that. So, I got it and I was entering. They recently changed the way you log into the thing. And I was having an issue. It lost all of my history, so I had to re-enter it. But when I was entering a cruise, I took December 2010. It was December 31st, 2010. Is the day I got on the cruise ship. Okay? Well, I would enter it. I would go in there and find the cruise, find the boat, select December 31st, 2010. And I would say add. And it added as December 31st, 2011, every single time. And I'm like, what the heck? So I deleted it, did it again. So I messaged the company, and they're like, you're right. We've duplicated exactly what you're talking about. There's definitely a bug in the system. So they said they're going to fix it. I haven't checked if they have yet. But I mean, you can't try everything. I don't know why I was doing it. But, I mean, the cruise was mainly in 2011. But the first day was in 2010. It was actually a kind of a cool cruise because we got on. They were giving free champagne for the entire day. Man, I had so much champagne that day. Yeah. All right. It says applications cannot authenticate themselves to each other. Okay, there's a lot of issues with them. They do not. They have a. How about the last one? They do not use the principle of least privilege. We talked about that. A lot of times the operating systems don't set this up correctly. Okay. OS designed to be secure from the ground up. That's what you want in a trusted OS. One who they thought about security. We talked about, I think it was in this class, I know it was, about how TCP/IP version 4 was made without security. It had a little, but not much. I also talked about if I was going to build a bank, would I take a 7-Eleven and convert it to a bank? No, because it's not made for security. I would want something that has security built from the ground up. That's what you want with your OS. Something that was built secure-wise. Okay? All right? Different vendors, a lot of times you actually hire vendors to develop stuff for you. How do you know they developed it correctly? You don't. Okay? A lot of times you just have to go by what they say. Oh, I can tinker. The help desk is all outsourced. Okay? So does that mean every single person there is a totally good, trusted employee? No, but they did go through a security clearance, but could you have faked some of that? I guess you could. They do go through a vetting process. Same with this. The vendors you hire to develop stuff, are they doing it correctly? You hope they are, but you never know. All right. That's the end of this chapter. All right. I'm going to take a quick break while I save this. Stop.